He called them his friends. His family. His life. For 13 years, Timothy Treadwell lived among wild grizzly bears in the remote wilderness of Alaska. But one mistake. One moment. Cost him everything. Timothy wasn't a trained wildlife expert. He was a former actor, a man who stumbled into the Alaskan wild after years of personal struggle. What he found there wasn't fame, it was peace. In 1990, he began what would become his life's obsession. Every summer, he flew into Katmai National Park, one of the most bear-dense regions on Earth. He lived in a tent, carried only basic supplies, and kept a video camera rolling as he got dangerously close to wild bears. He gave them names like Chocolate, Downy, and Mr. Chocolate. He spoke to them like old friends. To some, this was touching. To others, it was reckless, even suicidal. Timothy filmed hundreds of hours of footage. He wasn't doing scientific research. He was filming out of passion, because he believed the bears needed someone to protect them, someone who understood them. By the late 1990s, he gained attention. He wrote a book. He appeared on TV. He visited schools to teach children about bears. But experts, and the National Park Service, were deeply concerned. They warned him again and again, stop getting so close. Timothy refused to carry weapons or even bear spray. He believed love and trust would keep him safe. In the summer of 2003, Timothy returned for his 13th season. This time, he wasn't alone. His girlfriend, Amie Huguenard, came with him. She was quiet, smart, and careful. Unlike Timothy, she was wary of the bears. Normally, the pair would have left by late September. But after an argument with an airline employee, Timothy decided to stay another week. That decision would prove fatal. On October 5, Timothy turned on his camera during a sudden encounter, but the lens cap remained on. The tape, found later, contained 6 chilling minutes of audio. Growling. Screaming. A frantic struggle. Amy's voice can be heard pleading, "Play dead. Play dead." But it was too late. A hungry, unfamiliar bear, likely an older male, attacked. It dragged Timothy from the tent. Then it returned. And attacked Amie. The next day, rangers found the camp destroyed. The bear was still nearby. It was shot and killed. Inside its stomach, they found human remains. Timothy and Amie were both dead. More than 100 hours of Timothy's footage survived. Laughing. Narrating. Weeping. Getting closer and closer to the animals he believed had accepted him. In 2005, Werner Herzog released the documentary Grizzly Man, using Timothy's own videos. The film is poetic, haunting, and controversial. Herzog refused to include the audio of the fatal attack. He said it was too disturbing. In interviews, Herzog described Timothy as a man torn between idealism and denial, a man searching for meaning, but blind to reality. So what was Timothy? A hero? A fool? Or something in between? Some experts say his presence in the wild taught bears to trust humans, a dangerous behavior. Others argue his love for the animals inspired awareness and activism. But one thing is clear, he crossed a line that nature doesn't forgive. Wild animals are not pets. They are not friends. They are wild. And they must be respected. Timothy once said, "I will die for these animals." And in the end, he did. Amie Huguenard's part in this story is often forgotten. She didn't share Timothy's obsession, but she stayed, perhaps out of love, or maybe fear for his safety. Some believe she wanted to leave. But she stayed. And she died trying to save him. Photos and videos from their final days show them smiling, hiking, watching the bears. No sign that death was just days away. Today, the site of their deaths is marked. But uncelebrated. The bears returned. The forest moved on. But Timothy's story still fascinates. Not because he was right, or wrong, but because he was human. Flawed. Passionate. Fragile. He wanted peace. He wanted to belong. But nature doesn't care what we want. There are no second chances. And for all his love of the wild never loved him back. Let Timothy's story be a lesson, not in fear, but in respect. Respect for boundaries. Respect for life. Respect for the difference between admiration and interference. Some stories don't have heroes. They don't have villains. They just have choices. And consequences. This was the story of Timothy Treadwell. A man who wanted to live with bears. But died because he couldn't live without them. The forest is not cruel. It is not kind. It simply is. And in its silence, we find truth.